In modern times, where the return on investments matter the most, an investment in nutrition can possibly fetch tremendous returns. If food is responsible for building our body and providing energy, it definitely makes sense to understand more about food and nutrition. So, where do we start? Let's begin our discussion with macronutrients, the components of food that are needed in large quantities to maintain weight and energy level of the body, and they are 1. Carbohydrates. Commonly known as energy-giving foods, carbohydrates are found in the form of starch and sugar. Before the digestion and absorption in the blood, all starch and sugar is converted into glucose by the body to provide instant energy. The most common sources of starch are grains, cereals, rice, bread, and potatoes. The most common sources of sugar are fruits, vegetables, honey, grains or cereals, and milk. 2. Proteins. Commonly known as bodybuilding foods, proteins provide structure and functions for regulation of body cells, tissues, and organs. Being the building block, proteins form our bones, muscles, cartilage, skin, and blood. In terms of energy, proteins are long-lasting sources as they break down slower than the carbohydrates in the body. They also form various enzymes responsible for metabolism. The most common sources of proteins received from animals are lean meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy, and those received from plants are lentils, seeds, nuts, beans, and soy. 3. Fats. Soft white substance under the human and animal skin is called fat. Commonly known as the storehouse of energy, fats also provide a protective layer around our body along the skin. The most common sources of fats received from animals are beef, pork, dairy, and those received from plants are nuts, peanut butter, and vegetable oils. 4. Fiber. The fibrous portion of the food that is not digestible by the body is called fiber. Nutritionists usually don't even talk about this unique substance. However, they've now come to an agreement that it helps to keep cholesterol and sugar level in balance. Most plant-based foods are rich in fiber. 5. Water. Discussion about nutrition is not complete without water. Water in any form is a carrier and a lubricant. It not only facilitates absorption at all levels, but also carries a host of micronutrients. All biochemical reactions take place in water, and it also fills up the intracellular spaces along with the building blocks. The travel of nutrients within blood and waste elimination process is also a function of water. For sure, it sounds very informative, but why do we need to know all this? Well, we actually did not have to know it if we maintained our body in its original self by living amongst nature and eating natural foods. To have a better understanding of the body and macronutrients, let's consider the following. 1. Anything and everything that we eat is made up of a combination of one or more of the 5 macronutrients. 2. Our body needs approximately 20% proteins, 25% fats, and 55% carbohydrates with sufficient fiber and water as a balanced diet. 3. Major sources of food are plant food such as fruits, vegetables, nuts, cereals or grains, pulses, and seeds. Dairy food from dairy products like cheese, butter, ghee and yogurt from milk of various animals, and animal food such as eggs, lean meat like poultry and fish, red meat like lamb, beef and pork. 4. A vegetarian diet using a combination of plant food is capable of providing all 5 macronutrients in the required ratio. as long as it is primarily fruits, vegetables and nuts and only smaller amounts of grains and pulses. A diet based on animal food primarily contains proteins and fats, but lacks carbohydrates and fibers, and therefore needs to be supplemented with fruits and vegetables. Dairy food, which mainly contains fats with some proteins, also lacks carbohydrates and fibers, and therefore needs to be supplemented with fruits and vegetables. Yes, now it seems to make sense. So what's the conclusion? Well, as long as our diet contains a minimum 50% of fruits and vegetables and a combination of plant food, animal food or dairy food for the other 50%, we should be getting the required macronutrients for our body. Come on, let's invest in nutrition then, because the return is a healthy body.